Good morning, maybe good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. Good morning. My name is Jessica Pierce, and I am honored and thrilled that you all are joining us today. You probably just heard that intro. The event is being recorded today so that people can watch it back at a later time if you're interested. So welcome, welcome. Thank you for responding on the chat. And if you haven't yet, if you could go ahead and open up your chat box. And for most of you, that's going to be on the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer, and hit the chat icon. And you can see people are already dropping in the chat. Let us know what's your name and where are you joining us from? Do you have a target industry? So let's start the conversation there, and then we can continue connecting and being helping each other in this. Now, we know and have seen a fairly significant uptick in the layoffs, restructuring, and I just want you to know, if that's you, you are in the right place today. I know often that when people go through that they're just not sure the next step. They're, oh my gosh, I got to get my resume together and I got to get posted on a job board. But we're going to show you some other ways to get connected to hiring companies, and we're going to show you ways to get connected to companies that you really want to work for. And so I encourage you to participate today, to engage in the chat, to connect with people offline, and then to stay for our breakout rooms at the end, because all of this is going to be helpful. And I'm telling you, you guys, you're at the right event. Probably my very favorite speaker of all time is here today. And I am thrilled because you're going to just hear some really great content, and you're going to hear her passion for people that are in this situation. So, this is how much we love her, you guys. She made our intro slide and we've never taken it down. So Brie, if you want to go to the next slide, this is we're all about hope and engagement and giving you resources and information to move forward. So our beautiful Bridget is, Bridget, you're on every event we do. You're on this slide. So we love her so much. So she will be here today. Career Connectors is all about building better communities, one career at a time. We know that communities get better when people are holding work that they love to do and that they're good at and that pay good wages. And so that's one of our missions in life, is to make that happen and empower you and employers and service providers to work together so that people are working in the right positions and right jobs. All right, a couple tech things real quick. If you have any questions at all, please drop them in the chat. We keep everyone muted on this event, and so please don't unmute your phone or your computer. We will ask you to unmute at a later time when we go into the breakout sessions, but for the event, please keep it muted, and then you can drop your questions in there. I already saw Bridget actually asked a question, and it's around her content today. And so if you have any questions around how to stand out and be seen, in the interview process or in networking or engaging with employers, but if you have any questions about how do I stand out and be seen, if you have any of those questions, drop them in the chat. Our speakers are watching today, and we'll be responding to questions as well. We also have a team that is managing the chat, and we'll be engaging with you as well there. All right, the best way to watch this event is what's called speaker view. And so if you're on a computer, if you go to the right top of your computer, and you will see a couple different options. There's a view button up there, click on that, and drop down will be a couple different options. One will be side-by-side speaker. And what that will do is give you the presentation and then also the speaker who is talking on the one screen. So on your phone, your mobile, sometimes it's on the bottom right. There are three little like dots, and you can find that view there. And so side-by-side speaker view is the best way to do this. And then at the end, at about 10:30 Mountain Standard Time, we will go into our networking and breakout sessions. So what we do at these events is we bring you some great content about career transition. And then the last half of the event is all around connecting and providing resources. So we bring in some phenomenal professional resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, career coaches, coaches that support you financially trying to figure out how to, manage your budget or apply for unemployment or those kind of things. Those coaches are all at the end of our call today during the breakout sessions. So stick around. Our speakers will have breakout sessions as well. And so if you have questions that didn't get answered or you have a personal question, be ready to go during our breakout sessions in networking time. Also, if you need closed captioning, please go ahead and we've enabled that. That's on the bottom of your screen where it says show captions. Just click on that and we would love to, and then you would be able to see the closed captioning and the words across the screen. So today, what we're going to hear is you're going to hear from our keynote speaker, Bridget McGowan. And then after her, we're going to go into Dory Gilbert, who's going to talk about revitalizing your career path. I'll do some closing stuff, and then we will go into all of our breakout rooms and networking at the end. So again, welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, go ahead and drop in the chat where you're from, what kind of job or industry you're looking for, and then start to network. The other thing that we would love to have is for you to drop in your LinkedIn URL. So some of you have dropped that in already, but I have to tell you kind of a funny thing. Last event we were on, I connected with so many new people. This has never happened to me in the 13 years I've been doing this. I connected with so many people in one day that LinkedIn shut me down for a day, thinking I was a spammer. So that's how many people we are connecting with. And so today I'm going to try to avoid that. Maybe I have to go slower or something, I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and connect with each other. And I am dropping in the chat how to connect, how to drop in your LinkedIn URL. Because our chat is not, you cannot copy and paste our chat. So you need to actually go out to LinkedIn and get your specific URL. And you can do that by, like, if you go to linkedin.com, you can click on your picture, and then that whatever's in the search bar will show you your LinkedIn URL. Just copy that and drop it right in the chat. And so great. Thank you, Sharon, Markel, Tamara. Appreciate you guys dropping it in. Great. Anita, Don, look at that. So what I encourage you guys to do during the event today is click on these LinkedIn URLs and connect with each other, because this is all about connections. So I'd like to introduce you guys to our phenomenal keynote today. Have you ever experienced an energy that made you move to the edge of your seat, or that made you stand to your feet? What about an excitement that stayed with you and had you talking about it long after an event ended? This is the best way to describe Bridget McGowan, an award-winning author, an award-winning publisher, and an award-winning international professional speaker who is known to be both comical and memorable. She will not only energize you, but she will inspire you to not let anyone or anything get in the way of you being the most unforgettable person in the room. Today, Bridget, our dear friend, is here to share with you, see me, hear me, love me, hire me. Welcome, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm so excited to be here, and it's great. I love how Career Connectors has expanded beyond the boundaries of Arizona. I mean, what you're doing is incredible. Everybody, welcome to Hear Me, See Me, Love Me, Hire Me, communicating your it factor. You have put in all kinds of applications, gone on all kinds of interviews, and it just feels like there's this needle in the haystack that these recruiters and these hiring managers are looking for. And it can be a real challenge because you're trying to figure out what is it they're looking for. By the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what it takes to communicate your it factor. You are going to know how to speak in a way with everything you say and everything you do and every move you make that it is going to say, it's going to scream, I am the one for this position. By the time we're done, that needle in the haystack is going to look a little bit more like this. My name is Bridget McGowan, and by the time we're done, you're going to know what it is that hiring managers are looking for. You're going to know what it is recruiters are looking for, how you communicate your value and your it factor in every single thing you do, and why it matters. I'm Bridget McGowan, and what I do is I empower professionals to be the most engaging, dynamic, incredible communicators ever. This is going to be not your typical sit and get keynote. I want you to post questions to the chat along the way, and I will make sure you get your answers. And starting off, Margaret posted, she's turning 60 this month, or she already has posted, or she already has turned 60. Congratulations and happy birthday to you. She wrote one word, ageism. I'm going to assume that's a challenge that she has. I get it. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how can you communicate your value regardless of your age, whether you have plenty of years of experience or if the ink is still wet on your college degree. It doesn't matter where you span the gamut. Just listen to what I share with you, and that ageism, quote unquote concern, because I don't see it as a concern, I see it as a plus. That ageism concern, I think is going to go straight out the window. Now, Kyle also posted a question. He says, what keywords should I use in the interview that's going to inspire the hiring manager or inspire the recruiter to say, I want to hire you? Again, Kyle, lean in, get your pen and paper. I'm old school, or you can take digital notes. Lean in, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to say and how it is done. I'm going to scroll through and see if I see any other questions. Those were fantastic questions, and I feel confident I'm going to give you some answers today. If we get to the end of this presentation and you feel like you didn't get your answers, reach out to me, okay? I have my LinkedIn posted to the chat. I'll post it again. Or here's the easy way to get in touch with me, and that's going to be connectwithb.com. Let's get going. All right. I want you to think about the first job you ever had. It could have been a paid job, or it could have been a quote unquote unpaid job, or maybe you're staying home and you're babysitting and taking care of your younger siblings. What was the first job you had? Type that in the chat. Maybe you had your own lawn care business, whatever it was, type it in the chat. And then I also want you to think about what were some of the unwritten expectations. I've got car wash, Chicago Park District, chicken cook at Chicken Unlimited, cashier, Marine Corps, lawn care, grocery store, worked at the movie theater, retail clothing sales, cashier. Oh my goodness, all over the place. Let me tell you, this was my first job. Oh yes, my bedroom, my childhood bedroom smelled like a burger. I mean, I worked every minute of the day when I wasn't in band practice. I'm originally from Texas, and I worked at the McDonald's in Livingston, Texas. I grew up in Livingston, but I'm originally from Beaumont. That's a whole other keynote. And this McDonald's was located at the intersection of 190 and US Highway 59. And we were cat-a-corner to Whataburger. And I worked there the summer leading into my senior year in high school. And there were some interesting characters there, let me tell you. Two in particular I remember were Lynn and Max. Now, Lynn was one of the managers. And one of the unspoken expectations she had wasn't really that unspoken. Lynn was notorious for saying, if you can lean, you can clean. I mean, it's been years since I worked there, but I can still hear her telling us that. If you were not on a scheduled break, you'd better be doing something. And in the fast food industry, actually probably in any industry, there's always something to be done. But at McDonald's, there was always a floor that needed to be swept or mopped. There was always trash that needed to be taken out, napkin dispensers that needed to be refilled. So it was always something that needed to be done. And that was one of those quote unquote unspoken expectations. Keep it moving, keep it working. And then there was Max. Oh my goodness. Max was a little bit older than most of the employees there. You see, the bulk of us were high schoolers. We were there working to get a little money to pay for our class ring or cap and gown or senior pictures. Max was probably, I don't know, in his mid to late 20s, and he kind of reminded me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Picture that. And Max was, yeah, we'll just say he was interesting. And he had an answer or solution for everything. So I remember one night I'm working the overnight shift, and this was when McDonald's was just starting to have that 24-hour drive-through open thing. And it was only on like Friday and Saturday nights, and it felt kind of daring and scandalous to be out at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning working, like, well, you know, working legitimately at 1, 2, 3 a.m., right? And so right around 3 a.m., 3:05 or something like that, a car comes through the drive-through and they order a number one. They want a Big Mac meal. Okay, well, Bridget, what's significant about that? Here's the deal. It's 3 a.m. We've made the transition from cooking dinner, you know, burgers and nuggets and fries and such. We've transitioned from that. We've cleaned the kitchen down, scrubbed the cooktops, taken all the beef back, lettuce and all that good stuff. We brought out the breakfast items, the eggs and bacon and such. And we had started cooking those foods. So in order to make this Big Mac meal, we were going to have to scrub down the cooktop, go get the sausage, or go get the beef rather. It was just a whole production. Max wasn't having it. Max says, no, we're not doing that. Well, Max, what are we going to do? We've sold him the Big Mac meal. What are we going to do, man? We're going to make that Big Mac with breakfast sausage patties, Bridget. Then Max, we can't do that, dude. Oh, yes, we can. Max, we can do it, but we shouldn't do it. No, just get out of the way. We're doing this. We're doing this, Bridget. And so, you know, he was the shift lead that night, and you pick your battles, right? I'm 17. I've pled my case. It sounds like he's going to make this happen. So he makes the meal, serves it up, the car pays, they pull off. Several seconds pass. We're standing there holding our breath. And the car doesn't come back. I just knew they were going to come back. But here was Max's argument. Max said, Bridget, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You're out ordering food. You don't know the difference between beef or pork at this point. So the takeaways that I had from Max, from Lynn, from McDonald's on a whole, that unspoken message or that unspoken expectation was never put breakfast sausage on a Big Mac. No, the unspoken message or expectation was there's always work to get done, and there's always an answer. It may not be perfect, but there's always an answer. There's always a solution. And then, like for the babysitting job, maybe one of the unspoken expectations was always be on your P's and Q's. Always make sure it's a safety first type of situation. And when it came to the lawn care business, it was a safety first situation too, an unspoken expectation. Now, although we've transitioned from those first jobs that we had, and the jobs that we now have are probably a little bit more professional, a little bit different. However, something that remains the same is there are unspoken expectations still in place. Those recruiters and those hiring managers have this thing in the back of their heads. And this is where I'm going, Margaret. This is where I'm going, Kyle, with what do you say that's going to get their attention? They have this unspoken expectation that's not necessarily in the job description. Here goes. They want to know, first off, can you do the job? Your resume, your application tells them that. Recruiters also want to know, will you do the job? But here's that unspoken expectation. Hiring managers, once you get through AI, artificial intelligence sorts through your resume and sorts through your application and says, okay, this person's a pretty good fit. They can do the job. And then the recruiter gets a feel for you. It sounds like, okay, they will do the job. But with hiring managers, they want to know, do you have that it factor? That is the unspoken expectation. And this is how you get them to hear you, see you, love you. Here's what I mean. A man is walking by and he sees a construction site, and there's 3 men hard at work. He asks each man, what are you doing? Well, one man responds with, I'm putting my 15 years of bricklaying experience to good use. The second man says, I am laying bricks. However, the third man responds with, I am laying the bricks for a residential structure that will be the most incredible piece of architecture this state has ever seen. You see, with the first man's response, he answered the question of, can you do the job? The second one answered the question of, will you do the job? However, with the third one, he answered the question of, do you have the it factor? You see, companies are looking for someone who's going to be a brand ambassador, someone who is going to light up when they talk about their company, someone who sounds like they're already on board and working there in the interview process. The it factor is very closely connected to something called the Losada ratio. Chilean psychologist Marcial Losada came up with the Losada ratio, where he researched and he found for every one negative engagement someone has with a company or the company's brand, for every one negative interaction, it can take 3 or more positive interactions for that person's perception of the company to start to improve. This is huge. A lot of companies, and a lot of you know, you don't get these 4 opportunities. You don't get that one chance and then 3 additional chances to turn things around. Oftentimes you get that one opportunity. So what companies are looking for is people who are there and they're ready to represent the company's brand to the absolute best degree, and then deliver the highest value. So it's not enough that you're just doing the job, but you're also a brand ambassador, and that is your it factor. And with every word you say and every move you make, you must communicate that it factor. So first you get past the recruiting team. You get past those people, and what they're doing is they're checking the boxes. They're wanting to make sure, do you have the requisite education, the number of years? And to be quite honest with you, I don't want you to feel like you must check yes on every single box. Some of us feel like, as we're reading through job descriptions, oh my goodness, yes, I can do that. I'm great at that. I'm fantastic at that. I'm working on that. We feel like we have to check every single box. Do not feel that way. I want you, even if you can check only 70%, 60% of the boxes, still apply. If you know you can do that job, still put your hat in the ring. Because once you get yourself past the recruiters and you show that you're a right fit, you've got the personality, you've got the drive, you've got the energy. Now, all that's left to do is show up in front of the hiring manager and give them your it factor. So the recruiters, they're just checking to make sure you have pretty much enough credentials. Again, don't feel like you have to check every box. Check as many as you can and show that you are the right fit. But with hiring managers, they're looking for something else. I'm going to check the chat for questions before I move on to talk about what hiring managers are looking for. All right. Yeah, for sure. And don't back away. And I mean, especially if it's a job position where you know, yeah, there may be 2 or 3 things that you haven't done or don't have experience in, but you're willing to learn. And we're going to talk more about how do you have that conversation. Let's say there is a gap, then you can talk about how you feel that gap. I'll talk about that. Joe asks, is there a wrong way to sell the it factor? That's a great question. And here's the deal. You don't want to come off as sounding arrogant. And I'm going to show you how you communicate your it factor. I promise you. So get ready to take some really good notes. How do you show the it factor with behavioral questions? Give me a little bit more about that, Anita. Talk to me a little bit more about that. Now, Joseph, is there a wrong way to sell the it factor? Yes, if you come off too braggadocious, and if it's more about you, too much about you and less about the company, that can be the wrong way. And when I talk to you about that it factor and how you strike that balance between shining the light on you, but also making sure that you're uplifting the company, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, the wrong way is when you just sound so pompous. I mean, you just sound like, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this person. Then that's when it's the wrong way. So listen to some of the questions that I give you, as well as some of the terminology I give you, and then you'll see what I mean. Let's see, I responded to, how do you fit your passion about the company when they're asking specific behavioral questions like, yes. Anita, I think I'm going to be able to help you with that one. That's a really good one. Here's the deal. When you are answering the question, and I'll talk more about this in a little bit, when you're answering the question, you're controlling the narrative. You're controlling the time. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just going to address it just because, Anita, you put it out there. Let's say they ask you a question about, when was a time when you dropped a ball, caused a problem at the company, right? Nobody wants to talk about negatives. You can tell them, here's one time where things didn't go right, but then you shift gears, you control the narrative and tell them how you fixed it, how you jumped in, how you made adjustments, what you put in place so that it wouldn't happen again. Spend more time talking about strengths than you do negatives. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Dawn asks, what if you're taking some classes to get additional knowledge to improve? Yes, yes, yes. Should you indicate that during interviews? Absolutely, Dawn. That's a fantastic question. And that's what they're looking for. That is what they're looking for in your it factor, that you're constantly growing. You're constantly trying to improve. Can you give an example? Tell me an example of what Pure ASIL 114. Tell me what you're looking for an example for, okay? Thank you so much. How and what keywords are to say in an interview to, yes, to inspire an employer to hire you? Right. So let me get into that. I'm going to get into that. And if I don't get into it, I promise you, just let me know. Just let me know. I'll tell you exactly what keywords to use. They're out there and you're going to love it. What's your greatest strength and weakness? I hate those questions too, Sean. I'm going to tell you how to address that question. Okay, keep them coming. I'm about to give you keywords and I'm about to tell you how to spend more time focusing on the strengths than you focus on the weaknesses. All right, let's see. So when it comes to hiring managers, you have to speak a different language, and you all are picking up on it because you're asking, Bridget, what are some of those keywords? See, here's the deal with hiring managers, but I've got to tell you a story first. Does anybody remember what this is? Do you remember what this gizmo was called back in the day? You remember what this gizmo was called? It was part of the PDA family. It was not public displays of affection, but it was a personal digital assistant. I'm telling my age. Yeah, when folks talk about a PDA now, right? It was the Motorola Q, right? It was in that BlackBerry Palm Pilot family. It was the Motorola Q. So Motorola came out with it. It was totally a status symbol, Joe. I'll answer that, Anita. Well, I'll answer that, Anita. That's a great question. It was the Motorola Q. Okay, I love the keyboards too. I mean, they need to bring them back. I need that feel, that raised feeling. I got one in 2007. They came out in 2006. Now, about 10 years later, my and my husband's son, Parker, came upon my Motorola Q. So this is 2017. The thing hasn't been charged in forever, okay? And he's punching on it, tapping on it, and nothing's happening. He throws it to the side. He's about 3 at the time, goes and gets himself some goldfish crackers. He does not have time to be bothered. You see, that Motorola Q was not communicating with him in ways that he liked. And that is what's happening with hiring managers, is you must make sure you're showing up and communicating in the ways that they like. Now, there are all kinds of communication theories out there. For the sake of our conversation today, I'm touching on only 4. But before I get into those communication theories, if you will, I do want to answer some questions. Anita asks, so are you saying, give an example of how you were a brand ambassador for your previous company or the company you are interviewing with? Right. What I want you to do is, with every word you say, make it sound like you're already working at that company that you're interviewing for right then and there. Now, if that specific question comes up, hey, Anita, how are you a brand ambassador for XYZ company? Yeah, sure. Answer that specifically. But as you listen to the next several minutes that I have coming up, I'm going to tell you exactly the kinds of things to say where you want to demonstrate yourself as being someone who's going to be a brand ambassador for that company specifically. You want to sound like you're already on board. Let me know if that makes sense to you. It's all about you. You want them to feel like you're already a member of the team. So with everything you say, for instance, don't say things like, well, if you hire me, then I'll do XYZ. No, say, in this position, these are the changes that I would make. Or in this position, this is how I would make things so much easier. This is what I would do. Don't even preface it with in this position. Just say, this is what I'll do. This is how I'll handle that. You want to sound like you are already on the company roster. That's how you want to sound. Let me know if that answers your question. Now, there was another one. What are good ways to handle being out of the workplace for several years for personal or family reasons? Well, one, great question, Alan. If it doesn't come up, then don't address it. Okay. If they ask, hey, what's this gap here? Well, this is what I encourage you to do. First off, kudos to you for putting family first and putting personal first. I mean, if you're not healthy and family's not healthy, then what are we doing? And you've only got one you and one family. But what I want you what I want to encourage you to do is find some kind of way to continue to develop. Maybe there are courses you're taking. Maybe there are groups that you're a member of to keep you up to speed on the industry. Maybe you are a member of certain organizations that are in your industry. Maybe you are reading books. Maybe you're taking some online courses. But I want you, as you're taking care of yourself and you're taking care of your family, I want you to be able to answer in the interview if they are looking at your resume. It's like, there's a really big gap here. You can tell them, well, I was doing consulting. I was also running some workshops. I was doing some professional development, and here are some things that I was doing. I was reading XYZ books. So let me know, Alan, if that helps you. Deanne, how would you handle the challenge that they are concerned you won't stay because you have been self-employed for a long time? I have to keep bringing it up, Deanne, and I'm going to assume these questions must be coming up for you. So I want you to always turn it around in a positive way. Yes, if they do, this is first off, Deanne, if it doesn't come up, then don't bring it up, right? If it doesn't come up, then don't bring it up. And I have a fantastic question for you to ask in the interview to make sure you have answered all of their concerns. So I promise I'm going to give that one to you, Deanne. But if this specific question comes up, here's what you do. Remember, you want to show yourself as a brand ambassador. So you tell them, yes, I have been self-employed for a long time and it was a great ride, but I miss engaging with people and I love your company mission. I love your vision and I want to see you continuing to do the impact that you have out into the world. So yeah, I've been self-employed. It was great. It was a great ride, but I'm here and I'm ready to work, right? Make it sound like there's nothing else you want to do than be there. Yeah, answer the question. Yeah, address the self-employed thing. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, been there, done that. But I'm here now and I'm ready to work for you. I'm ready to push up my sleeves and get this job done. Yes, so close to them. Make them feel like you're, How do you combat offers getting rescinded? Talk to me a little bit more about that, Tiffany. How do you combat? Talk to me a little bit more about that. Paul, how do you handle criminal histories for those who have them and may be a barrier? Right, well, with that, that's just something that doesn't go away, right? But you hope that they can look past that. I mean, again, if you can get so far as to getting into the interview, this is where you shine. And if they don't bring it up, I can't say it enough. If they don't bring it up, then you don't bring it up. However, if there is a question about it, I mean, again, you address the concern. Yes, I was, I committed whatever crime, I've paid my dues. And these are all the things that I've done to shift gears and get out of that life. So always make sure you are turning things in a positive direction. What to do when conclusions are drawn leads to not getting. I'm not super clear on your question, Sean, so kind of hit me back up on that one. And I need help getting my unemployment issue addressed. Okay, not sure with that one. Should you?
Yeah, and Bridget will have coaches also at the end that'll address a lot of these one-on-one questions.
Perfect. Okay, all right, we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving. She's still employed when you've been laid off, and it shows. Shows it, okay. Okay. All right, we're going to keep trucking along. I believe I'm going to answer a lot of questions, but then when it comes to like some very specific granular questions, then I'm glad Jessica chimed in regarding the recruiters. All right, keep your questions coming though. As best as I can address the broader communication ones, I'm going to give it to you. So 4 different communication styles just for the sake of today's conversation. 1, you're going to have hiring managers who are connection seekers. They want to feel this personal rapport with you. They want to see you as the human that you are. They want to see your personality. That's what they want to see in the interview. And then you're going to have hiring managers who are honesty seekers. And these are the ones where they don't want a bunch of flim flam. Don't try to pull fast ones on them. If there is something that's incorrect, whether it's on your LinkedIn profile, something you accidentally, inadvertently put down on the application that's wrong, go on and clear that up, because honesty seekers are going to look at you with the side eye. Now, when it comes to results seekers, these are the people who want the bottom line. Oftentimes, these are your VP types. They just want to know that what you're communicating with everything you're saying, it's plugging in to what's going to get them closer to making a decision that you're the right fit for this position. And then you will have hiring managers who are energy seekers. These are the ones who are thinking lights, camera, action, bring it. It's great if you have the technical experience and you've got all the data points together and you can talk industry jargon, that's great. But if you can't light up a room, if you can't be that brand ambassador, then it's really tough for them to see you in that position. But here's the thing, you have to be able to reach every single one of these. You've got to be able to reach the connection seekers, the honesty seekers, results seekers, and energy seekers, because you never know who's sitting in front of you. So this is how you do it. With hiring managers, I want you to connect to the company's mission, vision, products, services, whatever it is they're offering. And I'm going to show you exactly how you do that and what you say to do that. That is how you feel that connection piece. Maybe you're not necessarily connecting specifically to that person, but if you can connect to that company and make it sound like you're one big family, that's what you want to do. And then also focus more on your strengths than you focus on your weaknesses. This is how you communicate your it factor. This is what you want to do throughout the interview, the entire process. Everything you say, every move you make needs to say, I am the person for this position. And you're constantly communicating that you aren't just looking for a job, any job, but you specifically want this job in front of you. So how do you connect to the company's mission, vision, products, services? This is how it's done. I want you to check out the company and become an expert on that company. You know everything about that company. Go to the website, see if you can reach out to some of the company's employees via LinkedIn or some other social media platform. Find out, what does the company believe in? What do they want to change? What do they want to do differently? What is driving the company to do what it does? And if all of this fits with what you believe in, what you want to change, what you want to do, then you are communicating your it factor. So with every question that you're answering, you are infusing something that you know about the company. Those are some of the key words that you want to use. Always use positive words. Always shine your, cast yourself in a positive light. And always make sure that you know something that the company, something that just happened in the news with the company, something that they just put out, something that was recently, highlighted in the media, but find out exactly what that company is all about. And then you integrate the company's mission and vision into all of your answers. Kyle, let me know if that answers the question that you had earlier in terms of keywords. So each interview is going to have different keywords because each company is going to have different missions, different core values, and so on. Next, in communicating your it factor, focus more on your strengths than your weaknesses. Every single one of us has been in an interview where they ask you, well, tell me about your greatest weakness. And it's like, oh my gosh, you just kill me right now, right? It just drives you crazy. This is what you do. Answer the question. Let's say your greatest weakness is time management, but then you're not going to sit there and drone on about all the appointments you've missed or calls you've been late to or webinars no. Answer the question. Greatest weakness is time management, but then quickly shift. You're controlling the narrative. Shift and show them your commitment to finding solutions. Show that you have moved forward and that you're casting yourself in the absolute best light. So let's say I answer, my greatest weakness is time management, but let me tell you exactly how I've worked on that. Now I'm using my phone and putting all of my appointments in there. I make sure I put about a 5-minute buffer in between each of my calls. So then I'm also able to take some notes on that call and send a follow-up. So these are all the things that I'm doing to kind of push that out of my weakness category, and it's going to become a strength. Does that make sense to you? So don't sit here and drone on and on and on about the weakness, but talk about what you've done to fix it and spend more time on what you've done to fix it. Kind of like that question I had about how do you address a gap in the resume when you're off taking care of family concerns or personal concerns? If it doesn't come up, number one, don't even bring it up. But if it does come up, yeah, I did have to take some time off. Yes, there is a gap. Let me tell you what I was doing during that time. I read XYZ book. I also took this course. I did some consulting. So yeah, I've got a gap, but these are all the things that I was doing to just kind of improve on myself and make sure I was constantly developing. And with everything that you say in the interview, every word, every move, it's screaming, I am the person for this position. You should sound as if you are already on the company roster. And what you're doing when you do this is you are giving them an idea of what life would be like with you on board. You are making them light up and think, whoa, this is how this person is now in the interview, and we ain't even paying them? Oh, we got to get them in here. I mean, it reminds me of a recent experience I had with a business coach. I was shopping for a business coach. And so we did a discovery call. It's no more than about maybe 20-30-minute discovery call, just to see if there's a connection, to see if the challenges that I'm facing and the needs that I have are fit for her expertise. And let me tell you what she did in that discovery call, and I'm going to connect the dots here. What she did was she gave me value on that discovery call. She gave me suggestions and recommendations for things that I could do that would bring about some results, instant results. And I knew if she's giving me this kind of value and I haven't even received an invoice, what is she going to be like once I sign on the dotted line? And that's what you want people thinking, is giving them solutions and giving them recommendations and showing them how you can make the company better. Make it more about them and the company and less about you. Yes, I've done XYZ, and what I love to do in this position is ABC. So sit there and talk more about the company and what you'll bring than you talk about yourself. You see, it reminds me of the Food Network. Every show starts the same way. They start with the finished dish, and they're future pacing you. They want you to look at that dish and say, whoa, I've got to have that. And that's what you're going to do in your interview process, is with everything you're saying, you're going to have them thinking, whoa, I've got to have that. Don't waste a lot of time talking about stuff that does not get you closer to them saying that. Don't waste a lot of time talking about what happened a long time ago and what your weaknesses are. No, talk about what you're going to do in this position. You see, these shows don't start by chopping veggies. They don't start with people sharpening knives. They don't start with people talking about where they bought the produce. They talk about this finished dish, what life can be like in the future. And that's what your interviews should do, what life can be like with you in the future. So in your interviews, stop wasting time chopping veggies. Focus on what you're going to do right here, right now in that position. Because the number one reason adults will listen to you is they know why they should listen to you, and you want to give them a reason to hang on to your every word. But this means keeping your energy high. And how do you do it? I'm going to reveal to you, yes, reveal to you my secret for keeping the energy high. Ha ha, I'm kidding. No, here's the secret. So level 1 energy, and we're going to use shopping as our analogy. Level 1 energy means throughout the interview process, everything you're saying and every move you make, it just kind of communicates that you're mildly interested in being part of the team. It's kind of like window shopping. You're kind of looking outside the store. You might go in, you might not. You see something that kind of interests you. Not really sure. So everything you're saying, I mean, you sound like you'd rather be home in your pajamas asleep. That's level 1 energy. But level 2 energy means you are relatively interested in joining the company. You might use a power word here or there. You might talk about the company here or there. But level 2 energy is kind of like you're inside of the store, but now you're browsing the racks. But level 3 energy means your shoulders are back, your eyes are laser focused. Everything that you're saying means I am the perfect fit for this position. You are seriously interested, or back to our shopping analogy, you're at the cash register completing your purchase. With every response, it starts with an affirmative energy. Yes, I can do this. Absolutely, not a problem. Sure, let me tell you what I would do. And with each answer that you give them to the questions that they're posing, you start it with an affirmative energy. So you're resetting the energy of the interview. Therefore, as the interview progresses, you give the illusion of level 3 energy throughout the entire interview. You're giving them the sign that you are the person for this position. Now, here are some of my favorite questions to ask during the interview process. And the last one is the absolute best one in the world. And it addresses that question about that criminal background. So the questions that you'll want to ask, because you want to show some level of engagement and interest beyond just answering their questions. So you'll get to a point where they'll ask, what questions do you have? Or if they don't put that out there, tell them, whoa, this interview isn't over. I have a few questions myself, right? What does success look like in this role to make sure this sounds like a good fit? Ask, and they're going to love this one. A hiring manager, somebody's trying to take a problem off of their plate. What's the first problem you want me to solve in this position? Here's another one that hiring managers are going to love. What can I do to make your job easier? And then the final one, and this is the one everybody needs to ask, no matter your background, whether there's a gap in the resume, whether there's a criminal background that you have on the list, ask this question. What other questions can I answer for you to help you determine I am unequivocally the perfect person for this position? You see, this question does a number of things. If they have that lingering doubt in the back of their mind, I don't know, he's got this criminal background, I don't know. She's 60 years old, I don't know. There's this big gap on the resume. If there are any lingering questions, this gives you an opportunity to fill that gap. And then when you ask, what other questions can I answer for you to help you determine if I'm the perfect fit? And they have no questions, guess what that communicates? That you are the perfect fit for the position. I don't care what the interview is, what the position is, what the company is. If you ask nothing else, ask that final question. Does that last question make you sound arrogant or cocky? Absolutely no. It is letting them know. Well, one, it's giving them that opportunity to clear up any kind of questions that they have, any kind of cloudiness, any kind of doubt that they have. And if saying perfect person feels like it's a little bit too much for you, Kyle, because it has to fit your personality, then change it up. But you definitely want to ask a question that gives you that opportunity to make sure that there is no doubt in their mind. So maybe the question becomes, what other questions can I answer for you to help you determine if you think I will be a good fit? So perfect, that does sound a little arrogant, a little cocky. And if it's not in your personality, then don't use it. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use it. It has to fit your personality, but you do want to make sure that you are asking that question. Anita, I've been told that if you stand and speak, then your energy level goes up, but I feel like that's awkward on The View. Well, how about this, Anita? I want you to tell me what you think my answer to that question is based on the fact that I've been standing for this whole webinar. You better stand for that interview. Now, you say it's awkward on The View. How is that awkward? Especially if we're on Zoom. I have done interviews via Zoom, as have countless people, I'm sure, in the middle of COVID. And I don't see anything awkward about it. You're absolutely right. Your energy does go up. And there is something scientific to that, being able to think on your feet, right? So yes, your energy is different. It keeps you from getting lax and swiveling in a chair and going on. Yes, stand for it. Stand for it. I want to look at this one right quick. How to convince the hiring manager that you're not overqualified for the position and you're willing to go into entry-level position because it's convenient for you, where you're in your, and communicate that. But at the same time, Rasha, make sure that you put more of the focus on the company, less on you. Don't talk about you so much and the fact that it's convenient for you or comfortable for you, but say, yeah, I want to take all of that experience, all of that I pulled together, and I want to bring it to your company, right? I want to elevate your company. Yeah. So Julius, Colonel Julius, use the words that make sense for you, that fit your personality. I'm just giving you the template. You plug in what would be Colonel Johnson vernacular, right? But the bottom line is you want to give them that opportunity to clear up anything that they feel hazy about. All right, so here's the deal. This is what I want you to do in communicating your it factor. I want you to take what it is you know, your experience, your job titles, your background and everything that you have, and then think about what it is they want. Then take what you know to give them what they want. That's what you want to do. Don't talk about how this is going to be convenient for me. This is going to help me. No, it's not about you. Make it all about that company, all about that company. And before you get into the interview, I don't want that to be the first time that you've heard yourself speak powerfully and strong. That should not be the first time. Showtime, the interview should not be the first time that you're hearing yourself talk the way that you want them to hear you talk and see the way that you move. What I want you to do this day forward is everywhere you go, everything you do, every move you make, every word you say, every look you give, I wanted to communicate to the world that you are the powerhouse rock star that we all know that you are. Don't wait until showtime. I don't care if you're at the grocery store, at the post office, at the bank, everybody you talk to, I want those shoulders back and your head held high. And why should we hire you? Because I'm going to come in here and I'm going to give you 100%. What you're looking for in that job posting, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a team player. I'm going to advance the mission. I'm going to work on the vision. That's what I would tell them, Jaida. Make them feel like you are going to be the biggest ambassador for the company. Why should I hire you? Because I'm not going to let you down, because I'm a strong worker, because I love what I do, because I love to grow. Does that make sense? Give them every reason in the book. Flip the script. Pretend you are the hiring manager. You're looking for somebody to hire. What would you need to hear if you were the hiring manager? Listen, I know things are tough, but I promise you brighter days are ahead. I promise you. And here's how I can promise you that. Jessica and I met in 2016. Jessica had no clue whatsoever that I was busted and disgusted. She didn't know because I was suited and booted and you couldn't tell me a thing. But I had just lost my job a few days before she met me. But she didn't have a clue. And I didn't either. Oh my goodness. I didn't know. I couldn't find the job that I wanted, couldn't figure it out. Our son was only 2 at the time. My husband worked, but we were in a situation where both of us needed to work. I promise you, brighter days are ahead. That was 7 years later, and I haven't looked back. All you have to do is stay focused and keep moving on. And let me tell you why that's so important. My first claim to fame in the world of work was when I became Employee of the Month, my first month working at that McDonald's, which I partially credit to my decision to entertain myself by popping into the VCR, yes, I'm telling them my age, one McDonald's University video or another, binging on them during my break time. That was the best TV available to watch in the place. We didn't have cell phones at the time, so that was the best entertainment we had. And for some odd reason, I remember finding them entertaining. I don't know why. Now, within a year or so of starting my stint at Mickey D's, I started making plans for what I would do after I graduated high school. I applied to one university and one university only, Howard University, located in our nation's capital. A high school classmate of mine was already there, and she seemed to be making a successful go of it. So I thought if she can do it, then I can too. And it seemed really exotic to attend a university so far away. I mean, we're talking about going from Livingston, Texas to Washington, D.C., more than 1,300 miles away. Plus, everybody else had their sights set on Texas A&M University or University of Texas, very fine institutions, but I didn't have any kind of personal connections to either one of them. So I had my sights set on what I thought would be really exciting, attending this university, going to college on the campus of Howard University. Now, I'm adopted. I don't refer to them as mom and dad. That's another keynote altogether. So my male adopter had it all planned out. We even bought one of those big Rand McNally road atlases. It's this huge book of maps of all the roads and highways and byways throughout the entire United States. And it's this massive book. It filled me with excitement to look through it ever so often and imagine our drive from Livingston to DC. Now, I can't really remember how it all came about, but at some point, maybe a year or so before I graduated high school, my male adopter ran into a good bit of money, somewhere around $6,000 after he got laid off from a job with a lumber company that was going out of business. There was a stock payout he received as part of his departure from the company. And for us at that time, that was big money all at once. I mean, as I think back, it would probably have taken him, 3 or 4 months to earn that kind of money. However, my adopters did not trust banks. Now, this isn't going where you think it's going. The female adopter who dropped out of school at the age of 8 or 9 was, and her parents didn't make her attend, and that's, again, another keynote. She firmly believed the bank was surreptitiously taking her money, especially when she would see the paltry balance on her end of month statements that she received in the mail. And even I would balance the checkbooks for her. I'm this kid, okay, balancing checkbooks for her. And time again, the statement would match to the penny what I had balanced. She was still distrusting. So this money from this stock payout was safely kept in a red and white cooler in the corner of their bedroom closet, safe from everyone. Long story short, I received my acceptance letter from Howard, and I even submitted my name for inclusion in the local newspaper, along with other Livingston High School seniors, to announce to the world where I was going and what I was doing upon graduation. I was going somewhere. I was going to become something. Yes. Yeah, right. I was going to become something. I was going somewhere, but I had to take a detour. In July, I graduated and anticipation is growing. It's time almost to make that trip to DC. And my adopter went to check the cooler to assess how much money was there to help us make our plans for this big trip. Now, he had originally put into the cooler 6 bundles of cash. Each one contained $1,000. When he opened the cooler, though, the 6 bundles were there, but it was abundantly clear each bundle had far less than $1,000 in it. Where did the money go? I'll tell you. Come to find out, the other adopter, the female adopter, had been pinching off money here and there to pay for household expenses to the point there may have been a total of not $6,000, not $3,000, maybe $1,000 altogether. Was she spending the money on other things and not household bills? I don't know. Possibly. Do I know that for a fact? I don't know. Do I have my suspicions? Not really. We barely had 2 pennies to rub together. Forget about 2 nickels to rub together. I would not be surprised if she overextended herself, purchasing furniture we really needed, but that we truly could not afford, signing for a car that, again, we needed, but for a model that was more expensive than we really could handle, tired of eating cheap food all the time and treating us to a better cut of meat for dinner ever so often just because. But regardless of what was going on or where the money was going, we were all devastated. The male adopter was in a state of shock. I mean, this is the person he lies in bed next to every night. This is the person he's supposed to be able to trust more than anybody. This is the person he married. And she's been sneaking money without telling him about it. I mean, if it's for bills, then fine, say that. But don't keep this pilfering a secret. And what kind of reaction did she think he was going to have once he found out? And then the female adopter is completely embarrassed and mad all at once. She's working her fingers to the bone, and it takes a lot to keep the house afloat. I did not know it at the time, but when I turned 18, the previous fall, prior to July of this current year, the state no longer sent them a check for my adoption. It was a subsidized adoption. I found this out 12 years later at the age of 30. I did not know this at the time. Although I don't know what the amount of the check was, it was no longer income that they had come to rely upon in the 16 years that I had been with them. And then with the 1988 death of the male adopter's sister and the subsequent moving in of his father, who had massive medical expenses and a monthly Social Security check of $600, it was harder and harder to make ends meet. So things are tough, period. And it gets crazier, but I won't go into that. Again, that's another keynote. It's July. I'm in a state of panic. Everybody who was appearing in the newspaper write-up along with me, they were going off to college by next month, by August. I did not want to be among those who were stuck in Livingston. I could not be among those who were stuck in Livingston, where my most promising career prospect was to work at the post office, a suggestion made by the female adopter. I was in a state of depression. I was in a state of hopelessness. I was downright miserable. What was I supposed to do now? Where was I supposed to go? Now, granted, I had no idea how much it cost to attend Howard University, nor how we would pay for it. And if the truth be told, I did not fully understand and realize what the cost was. I did not know it at the time, but the $1,800 or so that I had received in scholarship monies, I'm sure it was only a drop in the bucket after you tallied up room, board, textbooks, tuition, out-of-state tuition. But at least I had some kind of hope for something other than my present circumstance. I had some kind of hope until we discovered the missing money. Now, the female adopter had the brilliant idea that we go speak to the high school counselor. I was so annoyed, thinking to myself, and what is that supposed to do? Is she going to pull a full scholarship out of her armpit and hand it to me? What are we going to do? What are we going to see her in July for? This is stupid. But I couldn't verbalize that. I didn't. Once we got there, I cannot remember exactly what was said, but I do remember how ridiculous I felt sitting in that office discussing what my post-graduation options were now that I could not go to Howard. I felt so small. I will never forget how I felt. And I remember saying to myself, I will never, ever allow myself to be put in a position where I feel this small, where I feel this inadequate, this vulnerable, this ill-prepared. Never. I thought how foolish we must have looked to that counselor. And just imagine what she's telling her family or her best friend, who was also a math teacher in the district. So there's no privacy concerns at play here. Just imagine, I had all of this swirling in my mind, just pure embarrassment. So she gave some kind of suggestion, wait till the spring, go to a community college, whatever. But all I wanted was somebody to wave a magic wand and get me to Howard, because it was about saving face. I mean, I had announced to the world that's where I was going and what I was doing. Anything less was unacceptable. But out of the blue, about a month later, my male adopter suggested driving over to Prairie View A&M University. We knew of a few relatives who had graduated from there many decades before. So, hey, we headed out. This was, in the spirit of Super Bowl, his Hail Mary pass. I didn't think it was the smartest idea, considering neither one of us knew what we were doing. We'd never been on a college campus, but off we went. Got out the Rand McNally, gassed up the 1990 Pontiac Grand Prix, and hit the road. I was scared, clueless, embarrassed. Long story short, we were met by some of the kindest, sweetest, most professional, helpful people I've ever encountered in my life. I totally didn't expect that to happen. I filled out the application for admission 3 days before school was set to start. And if this was totally normal, you wouldn't have known if it was or if it wasn't. They told me they'd give me a call and let me know. That was it. Nobody rolled their eyes at me. No one brushed us off. No one thought how stupid these two must be, country hicks. Nobody told us what we should have done, that deadlines had been missed. Nobody made us feel insignificant. They simply saw a problem and they set out to solve it, period. We got back in that Grand Prix, and for the first time in a very long time, I felt a ray of hope. And what do you know? That was Wednesday, August 24th. On Friday, 2 days later, August 26th, I get a call. They tell me I've been accepted and to come the next day, that Saturday, to move into my dorm room. I was beside myself. I was on my way to college. And I cannot tell you how important that was to me. I would not be where I am or half the person that I am if it had not been for Prairie View A&M University. If it had not been for my adopter just bravely stepping out on faith and said, we are doing this. Listen, no matter how bleak, how ridiculous, how gray the outlook appears, still push forward and give it your very best. You never know what door will open, even if it seems highly unlikely or totally impossible at the time. You're only one part of the bigger story that is your life. Get out there, make sure they see you, they hear you, they love you, and they hire you. Jessica, thank you.
Woo-hoo! Virtual clap. Thank you so much, Bridget. We love having you here. Thank you for giving the resources and information that will help people take another step. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you're going to be around in a little bit if people have additional questions for you. Check out Bridget in her breakout room. We're also dropping her information and link for her website and her LinkedIn URL on the chat. So feel free to connect with her. All right, you guys. We have one more speaker coming up. Dory's going to do a short talk, about 15 minutes. And then after that, we will move into our breakout rooms. So we're so grateful to have Dory Gilbert here. She herself has navigated several career transitions. She's changed industries and titles, changed and grown in responsibility. She's received coaching and self-coaching through various aspects of making these transitions, learning how to stay resilient and developing her own brand. She was also a volunteer career coach for 4 years with a career transition program in San Diego County. She is currently looking for a new position in IT transformation, and she has some amazing content for you today. So welcome, Dory Gilbert. Hello.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. I have done a lot of work on my brand. And one of the things I say is that my North Star is professional joy. Working in IT, I love to roll out solutions so that users can adopt it and easily get to learn it and do their job better. And then as far as professionals who are on the move, I love seeing them pursue their careers and change. And that's just where I am and what I'm tuned to. Next slide. So this presentation is about whether you're energized or fatigued in your career journey. You might have intentions for your career, like growing your influence, maybe you want an increase in title, maybe you change industries, or maybe totally change what your expertise is. Maybe you just want to find more purpose in your career, and you're feeling stuck, directionless, or fatigued, maybe like you're paddling upstream. So what I am going to share with you is 5 levels of energy and how to revitalize yourself in each area. Next slide. So the first 3 are foundational energies. They're about knowing yourself. At the very core of you is flow energy. It's very foundational. It's the type of work in which you feel most aligned, what you love doing. The second one is decision risk energy, and it's about how you make decisions, what makes you feel safe, what helps you move out of your comfort zone. The third one is your natural resources, your direction, and fuel to go in that direction, maybe even your superpower. The next one. And the next ones are about your expressive energy and sharing yourself. So it's a heart energy. This is the people information that you're most in tune to, receptive to. Like I said, I'm most in tune to professionals on the move. And then self-expression energy are areas that you feel comfortable sharing your voice or your advocacy. So what are the signs, the vital signs at each level of these energies? Before that, here's how I see these energy. I see them stacked. At the bottom is flow energy. Everything rests on that. Then your decision and risk energy. Your natural resources are your intangible, your skills, strength, etc. Your heart energy, and then your self-expression energy. And now we're going to take a look at everything that each one of these areas and what the vital signs of fatigue might be, so we can energize it. I see a question in chat about the presentation being available later. I've summarized the presentation. What are these vital signs of fatigue and what are the solutions to them, with some resources and links in a handout, and you'll be receiving that after the event. So the first level is the flow energy. And some signs that you might be fatigued there are, you might be feeling separateness, maybe confusion, self-critical or critical of others, maybe even complacent. You might have dry periods between flow states, and you might hear yourself say, I don't know. For decision risk energy, you might be experiencing false starts. You might be over ideating or conflicted. You might feel unsafe, or you might be uber focused on binary, good, bad. You hear yourself say, I'm not sure. And then in a natural resource energy, you might be experiencing a lack mindset, or have self-disconnection, fear, maybe over-reliant on yourself, maybe over-reliant on others or even things, and you might hear yourself say, I can't. If you're fatigued in the heart energy, you might be experiencing, you might be getting feedback that you're not listening. You might be unclear or overly transactional. You might feel aimless, and you might hear yourself say, I should. And then with self-expression energy, you might be in procrastination a lot. You might be not starting or starting too much. Anybody except me in the past start like a million blogs and then never did anything with them, or maybe it's just me. And then, or you might find yourself not finishing, and you might hear yourself say, I need to. So those are some of the signs. Now we're going to take a deeper dive at a look at the key ones. And I feel, again, flow is at the bottom. It's the most important. Everything else rests on it. So flow is something that where you have the ability to focus, and it's something you're passionate about with a little sprinkle of challenge, just to keep you involved and going and thinking and solving. And this is those things, this is those things where you're working, and then all of a sudden you notice 3 hours have gone by. Time just doesn't even matter. So what you can do to re-energize this area is notice what you're doing when in flow. You could actually do an exercise to identify and articulate your values, and think about how to live those values, because that will help your flow. I did a little, based on a podcast I heard, I did a little worksheet that evaluates flow on a weekly basis, and I call it Flow Fridays. Now, everything with the little symbol here, I've provided to you in the handout, so there'll be more resources about values. And I'm giving you a copy of the Flow Friday worksheet, where you evaluate how you did this week and what your intention is for next week in flow. Did you leverage your skills and strengths for a purpose? Did you do what you say? And did you walk your values? So that's flow. The other thing I provide in the handout is an exercise. Now, I got really stuck at one point early on in my self-branding journey, and I call it the It's a Wonderful Life exercise. And this is what really helped me kind of trick myself into seeing my value. And the exercise is based on the movie where George Bailey gets to see his life as if he wasn't there. So he experiences situations and people that completely changed for the worse without him there. And so what I do in this exercise is I think back to a project where I did well, I loved, I enjoyed it, I think, or even a role. And then I think about, what if I take myself out of that role, and what would have happened? What would have the other people done? How would they responded? Would it have been done on time, etc.? So just write all those things, do it 3 or 4 times, write all the things down that you see missing, and that's you, that's that gap. So the next slide. So to revitalize your decision and your risk energy, think about this. Is there anything about what or where you work that you can improve to feel safer or bolder? I understand some environments truly are toxic, but if you need to make a decision whether to stay and deal with it, whether to go, or whether to change it, then these are the kinds of things that you need to feel safer and bolder, and you can find that within yourself. What can you do to feel or help others feel acknowledged, appreciated, or heard, or seen? I know for me, it's really hard for me to make decisions if I don't feel those things. And then let go of ideas of bad or good. Forgive your own guilt and shame. Embrace failure as a learning tool. I give you a little exercise in the handout that's about writing down some good events or good decisions that you made, and then realizing, oh, some bad things came out of that, and then writing down some bad things, and then, oh, some good things came out of that. So that's that exercise. To revitalize energy at the resource level, next slide. You want to go do a deep dive into your natural talents. And so I recommend making a list of those intangibles, your natural talents, your skills, your strengths. Stories are a great resource. If you're doing career work, job seeking work, I'm sure you've written challenge, action, result stories, or CAR stories. Those are great stories about how you did things in your career. Those are great resources. Do a deep dive into your strengths. I love Clifton Strengths. I don't get paid by them or anything like that. They're my favorite. A lot of companies use them, and I learned so much about myself by doing a deep dive with videos and all that kinds of stuff. I do give you some links to those resources. Think about articulating your preferences. If you like journaling or videoing yourself, then that's just something you could do. I like this, I like that. When in fear, prepare. That's how you can deal with fear. That's one way. Build and exercise resilience, and then breathe. Don't forget to breathe. And I mean, I've really learned how important it is. You'll see all kinds of exercises for taking deep breaths. Make sure your diaphragm is moving, and make sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. So that's really, really important. So I give you links in the handout to note about your strengths. And then for the expressive energies, sharpen your listening skills. Notice what topics are you tuned into? Who do you tend to advocate for? What methods do you gravitate toward in expressing yourself? And maybe who else communicates that way? So stop, give yourself a moment to think about these things. In the handout, I give you some resources about active listening and resilience. Next slide. All right, so to summarize, the handout has some ideas and suggestions. One, it has those vital signs, what signs of fatigue in each energy area. And then to revitalize, I've given you the exercise on It's a Wonderful Life, the Flow Friday worksheet, good and bad things exercise, links for active listening skills, some resources for your strengths assessment, and then values list. And as a bonus, now I didn't author this, but as a bonus, I could put in there a little stress test. And this, I know that career search can be stressful, and I know it can be tough. And sometimes just take a look at that. And if you score really high, then take care of your health first. Take care of that stress. Find ways to manage that. That's really important, to take care of yourself. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic information, Dory. Thank you so much for being here today and walking us through that. We will make sure to include either the worksheet or a link to the worksheet when we send out your guys' email. So after this event today, you will get an email that has a link directly to this recording, that has a link to the content Dory was talking about, and some additional resources. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here today. All right, you guys, we're going to close out with a couple resources, and then we will move on to our breakout sessions. I was having some great conversations in the chat today, and so I know a lot of people are ready to kind of go talk with a coach and get some coaching. So if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear from you. So feel free to email us at contact@careerconnectors.org, and we would love to, we go through any feedback we get for every event. And then a couple resources we have for you. I did mention the recordings. That is on our website. You can go back to any of our recordings from the last couple years and hear the content. One that has come up multiple times, I heard it in Bridget's talk, and I also talked about it in the chat, is this idea around ageism, which is a reality I know some people are dealing with. I encourage you to go back to our recordings page, and there is a event that Brenda Cunningham does, and she speaks specifically to diversity, ageism, tons of stuff. And she's so good at talking about that specific topic. And so if you go to our recordings page, you will see it. It's on the bottom left. It says the topic is something like career options with diversity, something to that effect. But that you can always go back and look at any of our events from previously. We also provide a DISC assessment, which is a behavioral assessment that will give you some information about your communication style, which is perfect for what you heard about today from Bridget. Communication style, your ideal work environment. And so that's free at no cost. It'll take you about 10 minutes to fill out, and we'll send you a 24-page report with a lot of great content. And then all of our social media platforms. So we are available and on social media. We have some great partners that help our program. So we're so grateful for them and for the support and the sponsorship that they provide for this program. Well, I would like to also, and you guys have probably seen as part of the chat today, Best Companies AZ has been dropping in some information, responding. One of the things Best Companies AZ does is, and actually they also are Best Companies USA. Career Connectors, we are based in Arizona, and this program started in Arizona, and we have expanded throughout the United States. But Best Companies AZ originally helped launch this program. And what they do is work with award-winning companies that are hiring local and remote positions. They work with clients that companies that have won these type of awards. Great Place, Certified Great Place to Work, the Fortune 100, 500, Disability Equality Index, tons of these type of awards. And so they're available. And on the next slide, you can see here just a handful of the companies that they work with and they represent. And so they work with their employment brand, they help with their hiring. And so all of these companies are looking for great talent right now. And Denise, Jenna, Carrie, the team from Best Companies AZ is also going to have a breakout room. So if you want to jump over there and talk with them, Denise just dropped their website and LinkedIn profile in, and you can feel free to connect with them anytime. So thank you, Denise and team. We appreciate you guys. All right, so we have a couple of events coming up. 2 of these are in person, so they're specific to Arizona. And then this one on March 9th is virtual. And then we have multiple other virtual events in March. We are doing a hiring event for the architecture, construction, and trades industry on February 16th. And then we are doing an event specific with the city of Avondale on February 22nd. Both of these are hiring events, companies that are hiring right now for in-person and also remote positions. And then you guys, one of our most attended events of the year is the Red Hot Resume Panel. So we bring in 3 professional resume writers that know what they're talking about. And we always laugh because it's so hard writing a resume. people, you get advice from friends, someone who's worked in HR, someone who's hired people, and a lot of times none of it matches and it's so confusing. So what we do is we bring in the experts to talk about this and to talk about exactly what your resume should include, how it should be formatted, how you can get through the applicant tracking software, because a lot of times people are like, I just want to talk to somebody. So we want to help you get your eyeballs or somebody's eyeballs on your resume. And so that's on March 9th. And we'll also be doing a secondary talk on LinkedIn at that event. So, but they're here today, some of our resume writers, and they'll be in the breakout rooms to answer your specific questions. Last year, we launched a program called AZ Careers Now, and that's who is funding some of these hiring events that we're doing. And it is a partnership with the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation. So we're grateful for that. If you see some Arizona specific hiring events, that's what that's from. So you can always go out to AZ Careers Now and take a look at the events we have coming up in the rest of this year. Thank you to our team, our volunteers. Kathleen is brand new. Carlton is brand new. Thank you so much for being here today and helping. Our resume writers, Council of Arizona, are fantastic, and they are here to serve you. Then we have all of these coaches here that are going to be in the breakout rooms. Thank you so much for your support today and making this program available to so many people. If you are interested in volunteering, you may check out careerconnectors.org/volunteer and just submit the short application, and we would love to get in touch with you. Also, Career Connectors is a 501c3 nonprofit, and so after you land and get your bearings, if you'd like to give back to help other people that are in career transition, we would love your support. And so you may do that anytime on our website. We do have Giving Tuesdays coming up. And so if you feel moved to give, we would really appreciate that. All right, you guys, thank you for your engagement today. You've been an awesome group through the chat, asking questions. I hope you're encouraged by our speakers and you feel like you have a next step. Bree is going to walk us through the breakout rooms and how to make that work. I want you all to know that myself and our team are praying for you guys that you land into the career of your dreams. Thank you so much for being here today.
All right, thank you. So I'm about to open the breakout rooms. So once I open them, you'll see a list of all the rooms you can go into. To get into a breakout room, all you have to do is hover over your toolbar, click on breakout rooms, and you'll just hit join on whichever ones you want to join. Once you join one, you can always come back to this main Zoom session and join another one. So I'm opening all the rooms right now. If there's a room that you want to go into, but you still are unsure how to get into it, just put it in the chat and we'll help you get in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. So Bree is the one that pulls all this stuff together, you guys. She's amazing. So on the bottom of your screen, there should be a breakout icon. Just click on that. If you're on your phone, sometimes it's 3 little dots. You click on that and you'll see the breakout rooms pop up. And then you can just click the blue join button next to the room that you would like to go to. And let's see. Hey, Joe, Bree do we know if Tom has joined yet? I may need to jump into that room.
I'm going to reach out to him because
Okay.
I don't see him, but he is supposed to be on here.
Okay, I may need to jump into that room.
Okay.
And then Bridget, okay. All right, so if you can help people get into the rooms, and Kathleen, people may need help getting into the rooms.